So today is June 7th, 2020. This is Buck, my original drum that I built back in 2012. He's been through a lot of modifications, but the original build had magnets down here. I got a front plug there, and one on the back. So the air intake is a ball valve here. Runs all the way down to about 1.5 inches off the bottom. So the air comes in, feeds the fire, and goes out. This is just a plastic Halloween skull that I cut up and painted like Boba Fett because I'm a Star Wars guy. Gave him a few tattoos, you know, a few Star Wars Ohio State style tattoos. Painted those on. Bottle opener was a gift from my brother-in-law. Got a 12-inch deep fry probe thermometer that reads the center of my rack, and that's 1 inch below the rack. This probe here is a 3-inch just regular dial thermometer, and it's 1 inch above the rack. And what that does is tells me the difference between the center of the rack and the outside of the rack. There's the actual dome lid with our smoking barriers on it, and a lot of times with the right heat deflector, all three of these thermometers will read the same. Alright, so the cart is actually a Home Depot moving dolly cart. I bought 2 of them and actually tore one apart and added the extra pieces here. Come over here to the side, you know, a little Stephanie Spielman tribute. This is a fire extinguisher holder, just put on a magnet, and I put that on there, and what that does is it allows me to hang my Maverick off that. Now another air intake with the painted skull, look like Darth Maul, you know, Star Wars thing. The back side, there's the exhaust. You can tell I'm heating it up. I added a shelf with smoking barriers on it, of course. That's an old original logo design. Down at the bottom is a plug. I don't ever use that one. Don't need to. That's just a wheel chock to keep it from rolling down the driveway. You can tell it's pretty nasty, pretty well used, and that's due to an improper fit on the lid. Okay, so right here is a slit, and that slit is so I can feed my probe wires into you know, to put in the meat or whatever, and I don't have to have a gap. Now I don't think you can see it very well, but around here, this piece here is actually a second piece that fits on top real nice and snug, and that allows a tighter seal for my lid, because my lid didn't fit right, and that's what caused all the grease drippage. As you can see, here's the probes. The deep fryer probe runs to the middle, the little 3-inch probe right there, so I can tell how hot I'm cooking anywhere on this drum. Quick look with the one rack in. I actually have it set up for a second level if I want to up here, using the bolts from the shelf. The thing that I like is this second shelf that I built, and it sits in just like that. So if I need to, I can just grab it and pull it out, even fully loaded with butts. But this allows me to cook about 8 butts all at once. The next 2 up is C-3po and R2d2. These are the droids you're looking for. Let's start with 3po. He's right there is a drum dolly that I got from Northern Tool. He has intake, and intake. Those are nipples, and then the front one's a plug, and I don't ever use that one. And it has a flat lid with an exhaust, a 2-inch exhaust. I burned it all out, and it's got the tractor flap lid. Pretty cool. It's got a little tattoo on the top, which my daughter helped me paint. 12-inch deep fryer thermometer to read the center of the cook rack. See right there's the nipple with the magnet. Pull the magnet off. Great. Come around back and the lid is actually hinged. You see that hinge there? That's a gate latch hinge. And it works pretty well. Makes it a little loose when you lift it up. This here was actually an accident. It's a magnet that I put holes in to cover. And I put probe wires in there actually now. Make the best of a bad situation. Down there is actually the control box for some lights. So at nighttime, when you're playing music and stuff, the lights will actually dance. Pretty cool little thing. Nothing real fancy on the inside. Just cook rack, one rack, single rack, and probe basket. So let's get into R2. See, he's a mini. He's a tamale pot, a 32 quart tamale pot. The base is actually off of a cheap 14-inch grill that I found at a dollar store somewhere. The top is actually a bottom part of a Weber 14-inch Smoky Joe. My middle daughter Pay and I painted it all one day. That was really cool. Drilled out some hole and put in a little, it's a handle, but it's also a black pipe nipple. The thermometer makes up the eye for R2. It's pretty accurate. Reads mainly the above the meat temp, so you're pretty close. There's your exhaust, and then it's on the back side here. We've got another little pipe handle, so when I lift the lid off, I actually use this one and that one and lift the lid straight up. Little tribute there to Kenny Baker, the guy who played R2. And then for the intake, instead of using the vent on the bottom, I use a 3/4 inch pipe nipple and magnet. There's the inside of the dome lid, so you can see how I did the nipples. I put caps on them so I didn't have any air leakage. There's the inside. It's pretty gross. I haven't cleaned it in a little while, but it's got a little basket in the bottom. I'll put a heat diverter in there, and then my food up here, and I've got a little thing right there for a clip for a probe sensor if I want to run one. Okay guys, so this is my competition drum. This one has down here has a drum dolly that I got from Northern Tool. Have the drum doctors written across the bottom. Of course our logo, our 12-inch turkey fryer thermometer. Got the Weber dome lid, the handles. Got the air intake over there and one over here. This one right here, air intakes when I use most of the time for competition. Metal, black pipe painted. This is a PVC ball valve. Back to black pipe and then up into PVC, and this is my homemade controller, fan controller, using an Inkbird 106RL. You can find the link for this on how to do this on Facebook at Tech Savvy. It's a barbecue group. There's all kinds of stuff on there about that. The dome lid was off of a donor Weber that I did some work for a guy, and this is what he gave me. Looking at the back side, there's nothing fancy going on. You just see the handle that I got going into the exhaust. It's just a bolt nutted on there. There's my fan, and then the controls. There's actually two wires that'll run down to either a 120 or a 12 volt battery, either or depending on which one I hook up. And then down here is a strand of Christmas lights I've got run across the frame underneath. So when I light it up, it has green ground effects. Okay, so with this view, here is the probe wire that goes down and runs the controller to the PID. And I have it stainless zip ties on my 12-inch probe, so it reads the center of the rack. And that controls the fan, the PID, to tell the fan when to come on or off. Alright folks, so this is Wookie. Made him in 2013, I think it was. End of 2012, beginning, middle of 2013, I think it was. Anyway, what makes him really cool is this is a regular 55-gallon barrel drum flipped upside down. So that is actually the top of an open head. I cut the bottom out and took a top third of a second drum, cut it, and it slides right on top. And then we have a handle with a hook, and Wookiee, he's, you know, Star Wars themed Chewbacca with his bandolier. We got air intakes right here and right here, and we have 8 holes, 8 half-inch holes on top of the exhaust. And let me show you this. There's the lid on the ground right there. You can see the little magnets with the half-inch holes. Okay, so here it is all disassembled. You have 3 parts. You have the base, the lid top, and then the body. The base, caster wheels, the body is hollow, sits right on top, just like so, and then your lid goes on just like this. Okay, so here's the exhaust, the top. It's a flat lid, and this is a spring clamp that holds the lid to the drum, to the top portion here. I don't ever take it off because I always just take the whole thing off. But the exhaust is 8 half-inch holes all the way around, and just a magnet. When I'm ready to fire it up, I open up the intakes and I take this off, all the magnets off, and that's it, and it runs great. The flat lid here was actually the original lid to Buck before I got the dome lid and made that modification. So when I put it on here, it stayed. It's never been off in what, 7-8 years. We're going to do like a little, this is a side view of Chewbacca's or Wookiee's satchel. It's just painted on at the handle. Had a little grease issue, leakage one time. The back, there's nothing fancy. And this is just a magnet to help me hold stuff I want. Air intake. That's it. There is a slit right there for the probes. Slit right there by the handle. That goes down just a bit farther than the lid actually goes down on top of, so you can put your probe wires in there. Inside, I have set up for 2 racks. So the bottom here will be 1 rack, top will be a 2nd rack. A lot of times I just put a rack on the top, and then I use my other 2nd rack table style to go on top, and I run about 8 butts at one time, so it's great. Alright, I want to just show you this. It is the ball valve. Goes into a 3/4 inch nipple with a lock nut washer on there out of the electrical department. Goes through, and I got one on this side too. So the nipple goes in, then a lock nut washer on there. That holds it in nice and tight, and you're good to go.